Men, if you're ready to reclaim your edge, listen up. I used to be held back by constant bathroom trips with multiple wake-ups during my sleep and looking for restrooms whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Man. After just 2 months, I started experiencing fewer trips to the bathroom, less urge to go, and I even slept through some nights. I feel a noticeable boost in my overall well-being, even sexual stamina. It gives me the freedom and confidence to live life on my terms. Better Man is clinically tested and trusted by thousands of men over 25 years. Ready to take back control? Go to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All, and I've got Kenny Mack from the Great White North with me today.
Let's go, baby.
That's right. Now, you know, I feel like I do you somewhat of a disservice, Kenny, because I always tell everybody, hey, I got Kenny Mack with me, but we've probably got new listeners and viewers and stuff who are like, who's Kenny Mack? And
yeah, that's true. I guess that's true, man. There's a lot of people there. I think some people think I come on and I'm like some kind of expert as far as like I know things about the Browns.
Well, you are.
I'm just a fan. I do know stuff, but the main thing that I do is if you go to Browns backers worldwide, you can get a chapter through the Cleveland Browns. And what ends up happening is you can become a chapter president. The Browns will kind of sponsor you, and I oversee all those across the world. And so you can get on the leadership council for this. I actually chair the entire council, and that's what I do. So if you've been to Vegas, if you're going to go to London this year, I have a little bit of say, or a lot of say, depending on the president that runs the chapter, on how that stuff goes. And I just give my opinions on how that should be run. And we make it fun for Browns fans across the world.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So there's a little bit about Kenny Mack, just for anybody new who's maybe seen him before and not really sure exactly what he is all about. There you get a little bit. And we haven't had Kenny on since the draft night, so it's good to have you back.
Yeah, man. I've been looking forward to getting on and seeing what these guys can do in training or in their mini camp. Yeah. And looks good, but I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about quarterback, because if you're looking for information, that's what you're going to find.
We are for sure. So today, like Kenny just alluded to, we're going to be talking about reactions from the first 2 days of Browns rookie minicamp. And if you're on social media, you know darn well that the competition is over. The job has been won, just signed, sealed, and delivered. QB1 is in the books, according to social media, but that's not exactly true. But we're going to break it all down. We'll talk about everything, and this will be a great episode for Kenny because we get some thoughts on his rookies, and this was the rookies weekend. So before we dive into our thoughts and takeaways from what we saw, I mean, we weren't there, so it's everything that we saw through social media and the reports and everything from camp. But I just want to make sure I shout out Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there listening. Today is Mother's Day. Well, we're recording this Saturday night, but when you guys are watching this, it'll be Mother's Day. And just want to give props to everybody out there, because I know my wife is incredible mom. I had an incredible mom, and you know, if you guys, moms run the world. They really do. I'd be lost without the mothers in my life. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
All right. One last thing before we dive in, make sure you guys follow us on all the socials at the Dogs Podcast. We're posting stuff like crazy. So if you want to keep up on all the content with the Browns, check us out there. You know, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those places. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell. You guys are really helping us grow the show, grow the podcast, grow the platform, and we appreciate everybody's support. Okay, so let's dive into some of the takeaways here from the rookie minicamp, and let's table as much quarterback stuff as we can toward the end, because obviously that's the meat and potatoes. That's what everybody's here for. So if you want to hear it, you got to listen through everything else, or just skip forward, I guess. But we'll just kind of touch on some of these other guys. So number 5 overall pick, Mason Graham, big boy. You know, he looks like he's just a lunch pail type of kid. You know, he looks like he just shows up for work. The video of him walking into the building on Thursday was funny because, you know, he gets out of the car and he's walking, he turns around, he make sure he locks it. He's hitting the clicker. He's just a dude. He just looks like an average everyday dude that you could sit down and just shoot it with. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about Mason Graham?
Yeah, I'm excited to have him. I mean, obviously, when we drafted him, I was a little bit selfish, and I thought we were going to get Ashton Genty, but that was a pick that I wanted for me personally. If I take a look at it, and you take a look what people are saying, they're like, okay, so we missed out on Travis Hunter. We missed out on a legitimate Hall of Famer. Number one, we don't know that. Number two, you don't know if Mason Graham's he could be a Hall of Famer. He's a blue chipper. And the biggest thing with him is what I like is they've kind of been moving him around all over on the line and giving him different positions as far as maybe being in maybe some kind of NASCAR package, but we really need him against the run. And I'm happy with what I saw from him, just his overall strength. But again, it is tough to find information on a lot of guys because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that is dominating social media, which is why I wanted to talk about the other guys first before we let it dominate our conversation here. Back on draft night, we, as a collective group on the show, we're not totally thrilled with the pick at 5. And what Blake said it over and over the whole night. We love the player. We just didn't love the position that was being selected because we all wanted offense. We didn't want defense right off the bat. But if you had told me ahead of time, hey, we're getting Quinshon Judkins tomorrow, I would have been way more okay with that pick of a defensive tackle at 5.
100%. And same with Harold Fannon Jr.
Yep.
I mean, that guy looks great. His breaks in and out, his pretty effortless as far as his fakes going. And he was doing an out that I saw him catch. Now, the one thing I will say, these guys are getting their reps in, whether they're running backs, receivers, any of those positions that we want to develop. Quarterbacks are putting it right where they need it. And they're getting a lot of good reps, and the balls aren't falling down too much.
No, they're not. And Kenny's got some numbers and things that we'll go through here in a little bit when we get to the QBs, but we might as well just dive right into Harold Fannon next. I'm excited, man. I love Harold Fannon, local kid from Canton, Ohio, just right up the road. Now he played at Bowling Green. Now he's back here in Cleveland with the Browns, and he does. And I guess before we go any further, people out there are probably already thinking this, or maybe you've already said it out loud. I get it. These guys are in helmets and shorts. That's it. Well, obviously, they're wearing shirts. But there's no defense. They're playing 7-on-7s and things. They're running through drills. I get it. But this is what we have right now. And,
yep.
If we're not going to get excited about seeing these guys in Browns uniforms for the first time, then what are we even doing as fans? And Fannon is a guy, it's not just some pipe dream or like, hey, we think that he has the potential. He led the entire country in receiving, targets, receptions, yards as a tight end. That doesn't happen. Think about the receivers in college football last year. Your Jeremiah Smiths and Ryan Williams and these guys. Ted McMillan, who was the first wide receiver drafted in the draft. And Harold Fannon was better in all those categories than all of them. And yeah, I know he played at Bowling Green and all that stuff, but he played very well against top competition. And he had 50%. He was a 50% dominator guy. He had 50% of his team's receiving yards. It's just incredible what he's done.
I'd be curious with Harold Fannon, when they break up and everybody's into the quarterback reps and they're getting 7 and if there is any discrepancy or drops, which side of the ball is Harold Fannon Jr. on, or who is he with? Is it always a specific quarterback, or are they mixing him up with both quarterbacks? Because that might make a difference on who looks really good, because he's plucking the ball out of the air and he's undressing guys from what I've seen.
Yeah, for sure. And, so they had their first 2 days on Friday and then Saturday for minicamp. Sunday will be the last day of rookie minicamp. It's closed to the media. So we're not going to be getting bombarded with all the videos and all the stuff like we have been the last 2 days. And I'm sure then as the week goes forward, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and everything, we'll start getting more thorough reports about the team in general and not just one or two guys specifically. And we'll keep you guys updated with that. But
as far as Harold Fannon Jr. goes, just if you listen a little bit to CBD, they were sitting there for day one. It basically fluid runner, great hands. And that's what we expect.
That's what
he's showing.
Remember, his nickname at Bowling Green was Vacuum Hands. We talked about that on one of our episodes.
Oh, Vacuum Hands. That's right. Yeah.
Because he catches everything. So very, very excited to have him. Think that he's going to be a great player, probably in the slot for us. because we really don't have a slot receiver. And I think he can play that big slot, especially in this more run-focused offense I think we're probably going to get back to.
Yeah, I noticed a couple fullbacks in this camp as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had any last year. And that's going to be interesting because we did sign a guy from Houston as well. So,
that's right.
So we have him. So he would be considered the starting fullback. But you did get the guy from Appalachian, which is Eli Wilson. Then we have another guy from Colorado State. His name escapes me, and I have it here somewhere. But we got that guy in. And then there's another guy. I believe he plays defensive end, but it was another linebacker like Winston Reed that also played fullback as well. So we got one of those guys in camp also.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's just exciting for the offense. And I mean, I guess we'll stick here with the offense and just talk about two guys that like I said, I'm excited about Harold Fannon. But man, seeing Quinshon Judkins and Dillon Sampson out there actually running drills on the Browns practice field, getting me excited because, first of all, I watched Quinshon Judkins. You did too, all season as a Buckeyes fan. And to have him, I mean, he just looks the part. He looks like an NFL running back. And I'll tell you what, some people weren't too thrilled when he picked that jersey number 10. I think it looks pretty sweet on him.
I was born on the 10th, so I'm good with it. I want to buy that. I'm just afraid that he'll change back to 1. That's what I'm
right. Nick Chubb was 31 his rookie camp and through the summer, and then before the season he switched to 24.
Yeah. To 24.
Yeah.
So you never know with these guys. I think if I'm going to buy a jersey, it's either going to be Schlesinger or it's going to be Fannon Jr. I think those guys will stick with their numbers.
Yeah, I think so too.
And Fannon Jr. is still a little bit like 88 or 0. I don't know. We'll see what happens if somebody gets traded. But
Well,
go ahead.
Greg Newsome is 0, but I did read where the Browns team rules or whatever, they prohibit rookies from having single digit jersey numbers unless you're a quarterback. Non-quarterbacks and kickers and punters, but other positions you can't have a single digit number, and I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That's good to know.
Yeah. Which I think it was the Quinshon Judkins talking about getting 1, I think is where I read that.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I wanted to note about Quinshon Judkins, I don't know if you've seen it. Everybody's seen this. Shedeur Sanders, nice little flat pass to Quinshon. And man, did he ever pluck that out of the air?
Yeah, I saw that.
So fluid out of the backfield. And again, like I know this, I've watched him, but just watching him just go through the motions where it's not really game. It's practice, like I don't want to be Allen Iverson here in practice, not the game I love, but he just looks so fluid doing it. And I think he's going to be an asset out of the backfield. And man, I hate that's what's happening to Nick Chubb, but we got 2 guys out of the backfield that can catch the ball well. Nick Chubb was in the game. You're pretty much set on him running, but we'll see what happens for the rest of this year with these guys.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you said that because we should have maybe done some updates at the beginning of this too. I mean, it did come out the other day. Andrew Berry did a interview on 92.3 The Fan with Ken Carman and them and said, it's looking increasingly unlikely that Nick Chubb will be back with the Browns. So we've been talking about that for a while. It sucks, but there really just is not a role for Nick Chubb on this team. Like you just mentioned with the drafting of these 2 rookies. I mean, I've told people all week, like Dillon Sampson could be a lead back for an NFL team. I really do think so. I mean, he's a little smaller. He would need offset by somebody else in the backfield, but this is perfect. He gets Quinshon Judkins, and we saw what Judkins did in an offset role with Travion Henderson. I think the pairing was very well done by the Browns.
It's thunder and lightning. It's a fantastic pairing. You can't pass that up, especially for the value you got Sampson at. And the big thing is with Nick Chubb, I love him, and this is no disrespect to him, but the Bears are the only other team that what we hear are pursuing him. Nobody else is. And there's a certain thing that happens to running backs. There's the 30-year-old mark. There's the consecutive injuries. And I just hope that he catches on and has a good role somewhere because I always will cheer for that dude.
Yeah, I would love to see him pile up some more yards on his career total over the next several years. I hope that his career is not close to being over. I hope that there's more there for him. It just, unfortunately, is not going to be with the Browns, but
yeah, 100%.
So it's a good bit about those 2. And then obviously Carson Schlesinger looks great on the field. I mean, I guess when you look at these linebackers, you can kind of read their stats and you're like, okay, so he's what, 6'2", 245. You know, you kind of see him in a presser here or at the combine. It's like, okay, he might be a little bit undersized. The dude puts on a helmet and gets out on the field. He looks pretty thick, man. Like he's a big kid.
Yeah, both him and Graham have tree trunks for legs.
Yeah.
They are, I bet you those guys get after it and with squats, and they can push some people around. I saw a couple comments that people are like, oh, he's the next Luke Kuechly. I think you might want to dial that back a bit. Kuechly just came out. He was a number 9 overall pick, and he had a ton of production. That being said, you might want to equate it more to like a Clay Matthews Jr., not the same position. Okay. What you're talking about is a guy that kind of like was a special teams guy and then just popped that senior year and then had a hell of a career. And that's what I'm hoping for him. He popped his senior year, played special teams, and then we're just going to reap the benefits of him being a great player. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah. He had an interception today. He picked off Dillon Gabriel in, 7-on-7s or?
Yeah. I think it was 7-on-7.
So that was cool. I mean, obviously you don't want to see the quarterbacks throwing interceptions, but at the same time, it's nice to see our guys on defense making plays too. I mean, it all works well for the Browns in the end. So it's just a lot of fun this weekend with the rookies and everything. And then, they had on Thursday, everybody except for the quarterbacks, right? It was everybody but the quarterbacks did their pressers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they did the quarterbacks did their pressers today.
Correct.
And that was like the big deal.
Yep.
And one of the big things, though, and we were talking about this before, and before we forget to mention it, this was the most number of players that I've seen at a Browns rookie mini camp in a long time. And if you guys aren't aware, there was 56 total participants.
Wow.
And that was the most since 2014. They had 7 draft picks that, we all saw them get drafted at the NFL draft, 13 undrafted free agents, which they all signed on Friday, 9 first-year player tryouts, and then you had 27 tryouts overall. So that total 56. The last time we did that, Mike Pettin was the coach, and we found 2 gems in that year. We found where is it? It was I don't know if I can find it. One of them was Tony Gabriel. Does that make sense? Do you remember him?
Taylor Gabriel.
Taylor Gabriel.
Yeah,
And then the other guy was here we go. Mike Pettin, and it was Quan Williams.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 2 guys that we pulled out. One guy could have even possibly been a tryout. And that's what you want. You want to sign your unrestricted free agents. So the guys that didn't get drafted, and then you get these tryout guys, and you're going to hopefully one of them takes their job and just knocks your socks off.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
And I think part of the reason, and this is just a little speculation based on something Kevin said, but I think part of the reason they brought so many people in for this rookie minicamp is they wanted to run it more like a practice than just, a camp to get acclimated and kind of run through drills. I think they really want to start getting a good, solid evaluation of everybody they have, specifically the quarterbacks, which we'll talk about now. But it's really tough to get a good evaluation of the quarterbacks if you don't have a collection of guys to run on the defensive side of the ball, to run routes, to do these other things. So they brought in a whole slew of people to really fill this thing out for a good practice. Couple days.
Well, in the last 2 years, we've been kind of complaining that these camps are kind of soft.
Yeah.
And we got soft results last year. And I don't know how much you got to see based on just your family activity today, but I find listening to Kevin Stefanski, he sounds energized. He sounds a little bit more pumped. He's talking directly to the media, which he usually does, but I find there's just an energy about him. And I don't know if it's having the 2 quarterbacks. I don't know, you take a look, I'm much more pumped about this draft class than I have been in a long time, and I don't know if it's because we've got a 1st round pick and that's more energizing. You got a potential 1st round pick in the 5th round, and with the 2 running backs as well. I mean, it just seems like icing on the cake for all this talent that they have. I'm as excited as he is.
Yeah, you're right. And it feels like he got his team back. I feel like last year there was this organizational, they were desperation to make Deshaun Watson work. We gave up all this stuff. We spent all this money. We have to make this work. So they went the Ken Dorsey route, and they took what Kevin likes to do and what Kevin's good at doing. They took all that away from him, and the whole thing imploded. I think Kevin knew from the jump, like, this just isn't going to work. He was a defeated man. I mean, it was a defeated team. You're right. The whole team, the body language was bad all season. It is a different vibe right now. And I do think that having these, and it's not just Shedeur, I think having both these quarterbacks on the team is great because, as we know, as we've talked about, Dillon Gabriel was the Browns' number 2 ranked quarterback in the draft right after Cam Ward. So that was their guy. They spent a ton of time with him throughout the process that we didn't know about. If you watch, like Justin mentioned in the last episode, you watched the draft call to Gabriel. They were saying hi to his family. Everybody was there. Yep. They knew the family. They'd met them. Like, you could tell they'd spent a ton of time together. So Kevin's excited to have his guy. Gabriel's his guy. Shedeur Sanders is the guy they could not pass up at that point in the 5th round. So they bring him in. And I think both of these guys, from what I've seen, from what I've read and all this stuff on social media, I feel like both these guys had a very good 2 days at minicamp. This episode is sponsored by Omaha Steaks. Do you guys love smash burgers? The crispy caramelized sear and the bold beefy flavor of Omaha Steaks smash burgers are to die for. I got the new smash burgers from Omaha Steaks, and holy crap, guys, these things are delicious. They're thinner patties, so I grill up 2 of them, slap on 2 pieces of cheese, and make myself the best double stack burger ever. Forget the mess of making smash burgers yourself. Get 16 free burgers in the Built for the Grill pack at omahasteaks.com/smash. They're pre-smashed, so you can enjoy smash burgers at home. No griddle or cast iron pan required, and they won't fall apart on the grill when you flip them. These burgers are made from 100% premium aged Omaha Steaks beef for exceptional quality and flavor. Omaha Steaks smash burgers go from freezer to bun in just 5 minutes. So get ready to smash expectations with new Omaha Steaks smash burgers. Visit omahasteaks.com/smash and order the Built for the Grill pack with 16 free smash burgers. That is 16 free Omaha Steaks smash burgers at omahasteaks.com/smash. See site for details. This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Guys, is your wedding band old, outdated, or just not the same taste you had when you were younger? Or hey, maybe you're about to get married, but you don't want to deal with the salespeople at the jewelry stores. Manly Bands has the best wedding bands made specifically for men. They have the classic timeless gold and white gold styles, but they also have rings made from platinum, black zirconium, tungsten, titanium, even materials like meteorite and dinosaur bone. Yes, your wedding ring could be made from a dinosaur fossil. That is a real thing. They also have different ring collections, like their Jack Daniels rings made from actual Jack Daniels whiskey barrels. They also have Lord of the Rings and DC Comics band collections. Head over to manlybands.com/dogs and take advantage of their 30% off sale with free shipping. Plus, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out for another 10% off your order. Now, every Manly Band comes with a free silicone ring, and if you don't know your ring size, that's okay. You can order a free ring size chart from Manly Bands to make sure that you know exactly the right size before you order. And then if you get your ring and it doesn't fit just right, you can always return it or exchange it without any hassle. And I know this because I like my rings to be a little more loose, and the first band that I got was just a little too snug for the way I like to wear it, so I exchanged it, and the whole process was quick, easy, and I had my new ring in no time. And now Manly Bands is even accessorizing men beyond just your wedding rings with their chain necklaces and chain bracelets made for men by men. And if you need groomsmen gifts or anything else, Manly Bands has you covered with their barware, whiskey glasses, flasks. They even have customized coasters and flight trays. So skip the jewelry stores, avoid the salespeople, and get a wedding band that was designed for you. Manlybands.com/dogs to get 30% off, free shipping, plus get an extra 10% off when you use code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially listening to it on the radio on Friday, it didn't seem like the ball was hitting the ground. There was a lot of they were very fluid. They were getting like kind of on fire. You could tell that they're rhythmic passers. Everything seemed to be getting caught, and you could tell by the announcers, they're just like, oh, there's another one that getting caught. There's a great catch, but it seemed almost effortless on their part. number one in their throws on Friday. And it also seemed effortless for the guys catching the ball because it was so well placed. It was a little bit different today. I think what happened today is on 7-on-7, I think Dillon Gabriel clearly came out. He was 12 of 16. He had an interception. We mentioned it already. Shedeur was only 8 of 16 is what I had. Yep. Gabriel appeared to have more accuracy and velocity in the drills, but Stefanski noted in his presser that they were both as advertised and stressed they both needed improvement in execution and operational efficiency, which you would expect because you're transitioning from college to the pros.
It's the first 2 days, any of these guys, but the quarterbacks, that we're talking about now specifically, you got to remember, it's the first 2 days these guys have been in the building. I'm sorry, 3 days. They came in Thursday.
Yeah.
So This is new. They're getting the language. They're getting, the plays. This is all new, and they've never thrown to these guys before. It's the first time they've even met these people that they're throwing the ball to. So there's no chemistry. There's no rapport. So I see people on social media like, oh, that was a poorly placed throw. He should have put it here. The guy had to reach back for this or reach out for that. There's no timing with these guys. This is just like the Senior Bowl. We talked about that in the Senior Bowl week. These guys show up and it's like, go out there and start practicing. And it's like, well, I have no idea who this guy is. I've never met him before. I don't know his cadence. I don't know his routes. I don't know his nuances. I don't know his body language. And they're learning. So for them to come out and get the glowing reports that they have the last 2 days, I think is really encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, Stefanski said it was the first thing he said in his presser today. He said, no player is a finished product, right? They're all there to develop, and development is the key thing over evaluation is what he said. They want to teach tempo and gradual installs. So as they're going, you're gradually installing, you may make more mistakes, and you got to have those mental reps to focus when you're not actually playing. So when they're dividing up their actual playtime, he really liked the fact, and he mentioned this about everybody: coachable, detail oriented, and competitive. And when that's when he started talking about the players like that, I'm like, man, this guy, he's really having fun. He noted that it was a 90-minute practice today. They got their money's worth, he said. So all the players that were invited to this camp are doing well, and they're participating, which is good. He did praise the guy from Manor, and I can't remember what his name is.
Luke
he played for Kent State.
Luke Floria.
Yeah, he mentioned him. And then final thoughts that he gave, they've put on their helmets and they're ready to start working. So that's good.
It's funny.
I was happy with what I saw.
Yeah, so you say 90-minute practice, they got their money's worth. I mean, I know it was going. Mary Kay was posting about it. There's a picture of Mason Graham puking out of his helmet. And it's like, well, yeah, it was, first of all, it's warmer than it has been, recently up here in Ohio. And there's not like 5 or 6 defensive tackles to run through these drills. Mason Graham's taking a lot of work, and he hasn't been doing football drills on the field since January or whenever. So yeah, it's been a while. So yeah. I think they were kind of poking fun at him. So in the presser, I heard that it was bad wings, and I don't know if that was a joke or Kevin did.
I couldn't hear
Kevin, right?
who threw up. Like, because sometimes when you hear those pressers, the questions are so quiet. I'm like, what did she say? And then we're up talking now. I just couldn't rewind it fast enough to know what the heck was going on.
Yeah, yep. It was Mason Graham. But again, I think these guys are getting a lot of work, and I mean, we can talk about conditioning, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's day 2 of. We're in May. We have a long way to go. So there's no point to overreact to anything, but we just need to talk about what we've seen and what we've heard at the minicamp. So, day 1, and I want to preface this by saying we were not invited to training camp with the rest of the Cleveland media, the legacy media guys, right? So we are relying upon what they report, what they tell us, the videos they share. That's our insight to the camp because we can't get eyes on these players. So Tony Grossi, who we've dogged on this podcast often and don't always agree with, but he was there. He put out a recap both days after each practice. So it's worth listening to because, again, he was there. We weren't. He said that, both quarterbacks on day 1 looked good. Dillon Gabriel probably had a slight edge over Shedeur. He said that he looked more decisive in his dropbacks and his decision making. So where he was, going with the ball and getting it there on time. But he said, Shedeur still looked good and everything, but he just thought Dillon looked a little better. He said that Dillon had a little more torque on his passes, which there were two clips specifically that I saw, one from yesterday and one from today, where Shedeur is both instances rolling out to his left, and he's throwing a pass down the field, and the thing comes out, and that is the deadest duck I've ever seen. They wobble the whole way down. The one yesterday was completed. The one today, I think, went out of bounds. But both, I was like, whoa, those are some bad passes. But I'm not saying that's every throw for Shedeur. I'm just saying there was a couple that have been going around social media that didn't look great. But he did have a couple nice, like you were talking about Luke Floria, the touchdown pass to him from Shedeur. Man, was that ball placement
it was beautiful.
Spot on. Yeah. It was beautiful. And then he had another pass to, I want to say he was wearing number 87, a wide receiver. I can't remember his name, but it was down the sideline and it was up over the shoulder, and the guy just cradle caught it. He didn't slow down one bit. Shedeur put it perfectly on him. So again, couple throws I was like, oh, those didn't look good, and a couple passes that I'm like, damn, those are nice.
Yeah, I like Dillon. You can tell he's got a little bit more zip on the ball, and he's got a tighter, and it's because he's got a tighter spin on it.
Yes, very
and
much
that's
tighter.
all it is.
Yep.
But it's amazing with Shedeur. Like, you watch him throw the ball, and some of them, I know the ones you're talking about, the floaters, the ducks, but they still dropped into the receiver's hands, or they were still playable. Now those could get intercepted and that kind of thing, but he still gets it there, which is kind of odd with the nature of the throw.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And again, we're going to go through camp all summer. You're going to see reports from, beat writers at camps and stuff. Quarterbacks are going to have touchdown passes. They're going to throw interceptions. This is the whole point in doing these practices. I mean, the defense is out there trying to practice too. And, with Dillon Gabriel, to me, it makes sense that Dillon Gabriel would have a little bit of an edge over Shedeur, just because, first of all, he was in college for 6 years, played 5 full seasons in college, was a starter since his freshman year, most starts in college football history, most touchdowns in college football history. And he played at bigger schools, bigger conferences, better competition. I just think he's a little more battle tested for what they're going through. Now, it doesn't mean Shedeur is far off or that he can't get there or he's not neck and neck with him. I just think that there is probably a little edge with Gabriel, but I think both of them have a very good attitude. I think they both have very good football IQ. Everybody seems to love these guys. From what I've read and heard, like, they say Shedeur's a great kid, Gabriel's a great kid. They both just have a good sense of confidence. They speak well. Their leadership just kind of comes out of them. And I don't know. I like what Shedeur said in his presser today. They asked him about how he felt about being selected in the 5th round, if he felt like he should have been selected before that. And he said, I'm not here to prove anybody wrong. I'm just here to prove myself right. I thought that was pretty cool.
I 100% agree. I don't get the hate on Shedeur. He's very well spoken. He doesn't get baited into any kind of, like Mary Kay, you just got to stop with the questions. You're driving me nuts. You're like literally the only person I can hear that actually gets questions in there. You got to stop like these baiting questions. They're awful. It just seems a little bit contrived by this point. So just please end it. Other than that, he speaks very well, and he's he seems like a natural leader with his smile. He just seems to make, like, in pressers, the press follows and flows with him. It's not the other way around. And he just has that probably from his days with his dad or whatever. Sure. But I think he's kind of like just a natural leader just with the way he speaks. And I think he's really going to fit in well with veterans. If you take a look at Gabriel, I think he's very to the point, and he's a straight shooter. And he doesn't get overly emotional. They asked him, because I found a lot of his press conferences are like, well, what do you think of Shedeur? Or how Shedeur was, rated this, and he's here, but he's got more followers than you, and he has more, social media than you. And he's like, I don't care. I'm here for football.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I like his answers too. I think they're going to get along well. I don't know. It's super early to tell, but are we going to keep both all year long? Time will tell, right?
It's a very interesting situation. And again, here we go. Browns fans, we find ourselves in a situation where a player or two on the team can just completely divide the fan base. And one thing that I am getting sick and tired of already, and I'm going to bitch about this and fight people on this tooth and nail forever, it seems like. Just because I post something positive about Dillon Gabriel does not mean I hate Shedeur Sanders. And just because I post something about Shedeur does not mean I hate Dillon Gabriel. I actually believe that it's okay to support both rookie quarterbacks. I want them both to be successful, because if they are, then the Browns will be successful. If neither of them are successful, that sucks. I'm rooting for both these kids. I don't care which one ends up beating the other one out on the depth chart, just as long as somebody does. That's all I want. I want a quarterback. I don't care which one it is.
Yeah, just make the game fun for me, man. Last year wasn't fun. I don't want to see 15.3 points a game. I want to see 27. I want to see 35. Just roll the teams over. Somebody pass to open guys. Stefanski can scheme them open. They'll be there.
Yep.
And you got some great running backs. Let's go offensive line. You're the key. Let's go.
Absolutely. And one last thing about Gabriel's presser. I don't know. So did you watch him or did you listen?
I watched him.
Did you see the reporter after his presser who did like one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen?
Oh, so there was a size comparison.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe, I don't get that. And I don't get why Tony Grossi's still there. He's literally used the word midget like 3 times. He got fired from another job. It's like, hey man, just get over the height thing.
So
it's disrespectful. 5'11" is not a little person, right? Like, I don't get why he's still there. Like, he just makes brash statements and nobody does anything about it.
Well, so, and I don't know who the media guy was. I don't know what his role is or whatever, but Gabriel steps off this. And I'm going to be a little mean here, but it's because I was really put off by what this guy did. This fat, overweight, just slob looking report. He's got a media pass on or whatever, gets up there behind the podium and he looks off to the side and he says, I'm taller than him. And then he looks back out at the crowd and he says, I'm taller than him. And I'm like, you're a fucking dick, dude. What did Dillon Gabriel do to deserve that kind of disrespect? It's the kid's first ever press conference as an NFL player. And you get up and act like that. I mean, the Cleveland media gets a bad rap and it's because of shit like that. I saw that and I thought, what? This guy should have all access to the team revoked. You shouldn't be allowed around any of the players. You shouldn't be allowed to talk about the Browns if that's how you're going to be. That was ridiculous.
It means nothing. You know what? This dude's taller probably than Russell Wilson.
He is.
He's probably taller than Drew Brees. These guys, get it done if they can get it done.
The size thing just blows my mind, like you said. I mean, if you can play ball, you can play ball. Russell Wilson didn't care that he was 5'10". He came out and he played ball and he beat out the highest paid free agent that offseason in Matt Flynn and became the starter from day one. And I was texting Blake and Justin over the weekend, and there was a picture of Dillon Gabriel with Justin Herbert and who was it, Tyler Shuck or somebody, whatever, the Oregon quarterbacks at one point. And Dillon Gabriel obviously way shorter, but I'm like, well, I mean, Justin Herbert's 6'6". He's going to make anybody look small. And Blake was like, yeah, but when you see it like this, it just kind of makes you, he's really short. And I sent him a picture last year in training camp of Justin Fields standing right next to Russell Wilson. And Justin Fields is 6'3", mind you, not 6'6", 6'3", and he towers over Russell Wilson. But when you watch Russell Wilson on the football field, you're not like, wow, it's a short quarterback. He can play football.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if a short quarterback is going to win you a Super Bowl, you'll take the Super Bowl. You're not going to be too worried about it. Yeah. So let the kid play. Let him thrive. And
what I keep saying about the height thing is, it might be different for fans to be like, oh wow, a 5'11" quarterback that's different than having like a 6. I mean, Deshaun Watson was 6'2". It's not like he was 6'7" or anything. By the way, I saw Brock Osweiler suck at football and he was 6'8". So height's not everything. And Dillon Gabriel played at Oklahoma and Oregon with with future NFL linemen and defenses coming at him. And he's played his entire, college football career at 5'11". He knows how to play at that height. It's not new to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, with Gabriel, I'm sure he's got a little bit, he knows how to throw around people. He knows how to do it. He's got, like you said, 60 plus games under his belt. He succeeded at the best level he could be at, and now he's at the next level. Let's see what he can do.
Absolutely. So like I said, I'll just reiterate, rooting for both these kids. Shedeur, since he has been here, has done a lot of great things. He's made a great impression on the community. He says all the right things. And I'm excited to see how the competition plays out, because I think both guys do have a very legitimate shot of starting games this year, maybe even starting week 1, because they're both very well experienced throughout college. And I think they're more ready for the NFL than other quarterbacks would be.
Yeah. Oh, I would say, I think people want that, and I think it can happen. I just really like the athletic nature of Gabriel. He just seems to be handpicked for what Stefanski wants, a mass processor of information that's accurate and uses his athletic skills to make things happen.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's meant to be. But again, we're 2 practices into this. Like, we'll see what happens.
Right. And I mean, I guess one other thing, I hate having to always say this. I don't want people to think I'm like dumping on either one of these guys. I'm just telling you what I saw, but there was a play where Shedeur, there was a little bit of pressure, and rather than stepping up in the pocket or anything, he did the drift back a few steps, and then he kind of floated one out there, and that was one of the ducks. But that's just one of those things that I watched a lot of Shedeur Sanders tape from college. Okay. Like I actually watched the film and stuff. That's one of the biggest knocks on him, was the drifting back and back and back in the pocket, led to a ton of sacks. It is a major concern. And it's just, and like I said, it's day 2 of practice. These guys are still going to have bad habits from college because they haven't had a chance to correct those things yet. Just something to keep an eye on, something that I will be watching and saying, that's something I want to see him overcome and correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough if you had 40 games of your interior 3 not being at where they needed to be. I can tell you that our guys will be. Our interior 3 will be fantastic. You can step into your throws, and that maybe he was getting the same vibe from the guys in front of him, just in shorts, but we'll see what happens. He knows he's got to be better. He's not fooling anybody. The first thing he'll tell you, I got to get better.
Yeah.
And him and the coach are on the same page.
I love that, because neither of these guys think that they're better than the other guy, or that they're, they've got something locked up, or they're entitled to anything. They're here to work. And all 7 of these draft picks and all these UDFAs, I'm excited for a lot of these guys. I'm excited for the McMillan kid out of, oh boy, I'm losing. Where did we sign the safety?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, out of Pitt. That's right. I'm excited for him. I think that there could be some more hidden gems in this UDFA class too. So we'll have.
I got one for you, actually. It's Lamarian James. He started off at Old Dominion. He is a TCU transfer. Check this out. So this guy, 2024, he had 14 pass breakups, 1 interception. He blocked a field goal, and he had 35 tackles. Plus, he's got 2 career returns for touchdowns. He's got a 4.35 under his belt at his pro day, supposedly. And this guy's twitchy, explosive, and obviously, what I just said, he's a return weapon. He just needs to refine his press technique. He's a little bit small for that. 180 with your press technique, you got to have real good low. You got to be low for that. So he has a chance to upset a couple guys, maybe Miles Harden, some of the back end, but his return ability is a huge thing. And a guy that can run a 4.35, sign me up for that. I'd love to have a guy return one for us.
Yeah, well, and if he can, rotate over and play some of that free safety spot, because he's listed as a cornerback, right? Lamarian James.
Yep.
But, we only have 2 safeties on the roster, and it's Delpit and Ronnie Hickman. So we're going to need some guys to stick, and he's got a good chance to do so. So we'll be tracking all those guys throughout the summer and everything the coming months. So make sure you guys follow us on the socials at The Dogs Podcast everywhere. And again, on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell. If you're listening on audio, please drop us a 5-star review. Give us a like, all that kind of stuff. That really helps out the show. And I didn't mention this at the top, but if you want to hang out with us on a more consistent basis behind the scenes, it is jointhedogs.com. Kenny Mack is in there.
Yeah,
We're
get
all
in
the
that
hosts.
group, man. Get in that group.
We're all in there. And I should have said this at the beginning because we're pushing for fantasy football signups a lot earlier this summer than what we have in years past. So if you want to play fantasy football in our Dog Pack fantasy leagues this year, signups are going to start June 1st. So get in now. That way, when signups come out, you get your name on the list right away. You lock in your spot for fantasy football because we're hoping to have quite a few. We had 5 leagues last year. Was it 5 or 6? Yeah, either way. We're going to have more this year, and we're going to need more time to coordinate that. So June 1st, fantasy football, get in now. Get ready to sign up for that. It's just $5 a month to be a part of the Dog Pack, and it really does, help support the show.
Don't forget the biggest thing. You and Justin help us out through the years with your fantasy podcast, and he's not only is he going to let you sign up, he's going to help you. You got to listen.
Yeah, if we're able to get the time to get the fantasy pod back up and running. I mean, Justin, he moved further away from the studio. I added a child to my household. Doing 2 full-time podcasts is going to be difficult, but we had a lot of fun doing that fantasy one last year. So we'll see if we can't get that thing started back up.
Yeah, right on, man.
All right. Well, thanks again for everybody tuning in. If you got thoughts and opinions and whatever questions for us, anything from the rookie minicamp these last couple of days, drop them in the comments. We'll get back to you. And until we see you guys in the next one, let's go Browns. And tonight, since it's Sunday, let's go Cavs.
Let's go Cavs, and happy Mother's Day.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.
Men, if you're ready to reclaim your edge, listen up. I used to be held back by constant bathroom trips, with multiple wake-ups during my sleep and looking for restrooms whenever I was out. Then I discovered Better Man. After just 2 months, I started experiencing fewer trips to the bathroom, less urge to go, and I even slept through some nights. I feel a noticeable boost in my overall well-being, even sexual stamina. It gives me the freedom and confidence to live life on my terms. Better Man is clinically tested and trusted by thousands of men over 25 years. Ready to take back control? Go to BeBetterNow.com to order your supply today. That's BeBetterNow.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed. Individual results may vary.